Every day, we each get 86,400 seconds. What we do with those seconds literally determines our entire lives. So how do we take our time and become so productive where we're not just trying to do all the things, we're not busy fools, we're not procrastinating, we're not just drifting aimlessly? How do we become as productive as Bill Gates and Sarah Blakely? I'm going to share with you some amazing productivity hacks so that you can become as productive as the most successful people on the planet. Hello, I am so excited that you're here right now because I'm talking about something that is just so important for all of us. That is how to actually make the most of our time. Now, as you're here, I'm guessing that you're someone that has got big, big dreams. I feel like, we want to build really successful businesses, and in order to do that, we have to be really, really on it with how we are spending our time. I think the problem is that we don't know how to actually manage our schedules in a way that is effective. Like, how do we do it without cramming so much in that we feel totally overwhelmed? How do we do it so that we actually know what on earth we should be prioritizing? So I'm going to be sharing these productivity tips and hacks with you, and also some really powerful tools you can use. And these things have helped me so much. So obviously, with time, I think the biggest reason why people don't make the most of it is because they actually don't have clarity around where it is they're trying to get to, what it is they actually need to do. Bill Gates once said that time is our most precious commodity. Money can't buy us any more of it. We all have the same amount of time. So the clearer you get on what you actually want to make happen with your time, the more likely it is that you're going to become super productive. And so for any of you out there that are in this phase where you're just not sure, you want more, you want to be more successful or create more, but you're just lacking a bit of clarity, I want to share something with you that I once heard Sarah Blakely say. So she said that she basically used her manifesting skills to figure out how to get clarity around what she was going to make happen in her life. So she actually wrote in her journal that she was going to create a product, sell it to millions of people, and it was going to be something that would make people feel good. That is literally all she wrote, all she knew. She put it in there and she trusted that somehow the universe was going to deliver an idea to her. 2 years later, the idea arrived and Spanx was born, and obviously it's since become a $1 billion company, which is incredible. So if you are at that phase right now where you're just a bit all over the place, things feel a bit wishy-washy, open yourself up for getting clarity. Like, if you're a bit woo-woo like me, ask the universe for help. Write down what it is that you want to achieve. You don't have to have the perfect picture. You don't have to have the exact idea right now. You just have to have clarity around what it is that you want to make happen in your life. So get that clarity so you at least know the direction that you're headed in, and then trust that somehow the universe is going to give you what it is that you want. I do it all the time and it's unbelievably powerful. Like, it's insane what can happen when you just open yourself up to getting that clarity. And I swear, once you have that clarity, your life is going to change so much and you will be able to make so much more of your time. Getting onto looking at your day-to-day productivity and how you can make the most of your time. I always say, when you're trying to figure out how to become better at something, you need to look at where you're at right now and create that awareness. So whenever I feel like I've completely fallen off the bandwagon with productivity and I'm just like, oh my gosh, I am not getting anything done, I just feel like everything's a mess and everything feels overwhelming, I take a step back and I start to pay attention to what on earth I'm doing with my time. I time track. And this is so powerful. Every time I start doing this, it instantly shifts my mindset and I'm like, oh wow, I can waste a lot of time. So it's as simple as going and getting a piece of paper and tracking everything you do in a day. From the moment you wake up to the moment you go to sleep, tracking what you're doing. So if you wake up and you go make a cup of tea, write down, 6 a.m. I went downstairs, I made a cup of tea, or you put 6 a.m. to 6:20 or whatever, and literally track everything. The breakfast, calls that you have, moments of time when you just do nothing, when you go for a walk, when you actually do productive work, and literally as you go through the day and you're doing something, just pay attention and just track it. If you want, you could put a reminder on your phone to go off every hour, just to prompt you, okay, what have you been doing in the last hour? And then just write it down, what have you been doing? If you do this, I promise you, it will be so eye-opening. This in itself is going to be transformational. So I often track my time for like 1 to 3 days so I can see like, where am I spending my time? Where am I feeling stuck? What is actually going on in my day? So try that out and then you can see like what's going on. The next thing we need to do is, because for all of us, when we're building businesses, there's so many different areas we're focusing on. We need to figure out how we're gonna, create products and services, how we're actually gonna get our products and services out there, how we are going to actually operate our business, looking at, building our team, HR stuff. So there's so many different things to think about, admin, emails, all of it, social media. So what I found really helpful is to categorize the core areas that you have to focus on. So for example, it might be that content creation is a core area, marketing visibility is a core area, calls are a core thing that you have as part of your business. You've got admin, you've got operations, you've got finance, you've got your CEO kind of activities, working on the business, not in the business, and potentially you've got reviews. So if you have a team of people working for you, you've got to make time as well to review what's going on, assess what's happening. So those might be some core areas. So if you have a think about your business right now, think about what are the categories of work that you have that make sense for you and your business. Sit down and write out what those categories are. I promise that in itself is going to help you feel so much better to then organize. So then step 3 is looking at what do you need to do on a daily, weekly, monthly basis. What tasks have you got going on? What things do you have to do every day? What things do you have to get done every week, every month? And just sit and make a list of everything that you can think of, from planning out content to scheduling social media to checking on your emails. So literally what I do is I make a list of my daily actions, I make a list of my weekly actions, and I make a list of my monthly actions. And I look at it and I think, okay, right, once a month I have to sit down and go through my finances. Every day I have to go and check in on my emails and do admin stuff. Every day I have to go and do Instagram stories, whatever it might be. So just kind of have a look, and then once you have done that, then look at what categories those tasks fall under. So is it an admin task? Is it a finance task? Is it an operations task? Is it a marketing task? So you can start categorizing your work so that you can actually make time for all this stuff so you don't forget about stuff. So once you've done that, the next step is to break everything down. So you've got your recurring tasks, but then you've got to look at what projects you've got going on. What are your core priorities right now? So you might have a project that is to launch a membership site, say. So how are you going to break down that project so that you can bring it to life within your schedule? Bill Gates is, I've seen documentaries of him talking about how he time blocks, and sometimes, he's so disciplined with his time. He allocates literally every minute of the day to something, and it might be that he dedicates 5 minutes of his day to one particular task, but he's scheduled that time in, so he's going to do it. So it's looking at your time and how are you planning it out so that you make the most of it. So you have to take these projects that you've got and these tasks that you've got and find a way to break it all down and then time block into your schedule, into your calendar, so that you make time for those things. So if you have a set daily, weekly, monthly schedule for yourself of like things you've got going on all the time. So maybe on a Friday you do a CEO time slot with yourself, and that's where you're going to review things and you're going to look at the big picture of where are you going? Are you in tune or are you on track with your vision? So every Friday you might have that kind of booked in with yourself. So around that, you can look at how are you going to book in the work you've got to do on your projects. Every single one of us has priorities, and we have to get clear on what those priorities are. So for most of us as entrepreneurs, it depends on what season of business you're in, but for most of us, visibility is absolutely a core priority. We have to work on how we're getting ourselves out there, how are we getting our businesses out there and getting more people to discover us so they want to become fans and subscribers and customers. So that, for example, for me is a huge priority. So a huge chunk of my time each week is dedicated to visibility. It's planned into my calendar so that I dedicate that time to it. Because if I didn't, the days would go by and I would forget to focus on visibility and it would fall off the table, and I would then not be able to have the impact that I can have if my focus goes to that. So it's identifying what do you actually need to focus on and prioritize, and how are you breaking that down into chunks of time that you can set into your calendar so that you can actually work on it and get it done? So take some time to like map it all out. I personally find it much more helpful to do it on like a big piece of paper and just to kind of get everything out of my head onto paper, and then once I've done that I can put it into my Google Calendar and have those chunks of time allocated, or into every day I have my daily planner as well, so every day I know what's going on. Okay, I know I've talked about a lot so far. How are you doing? Is it going in? Definitely leave a comment and let me know, and also let me know if you have questions around this stuff that you want more clarity with, more help with. I am here to help you, so I would love to answer your questions. So the next step is this. Every Sunday, well, I love Sundays, you can decide what day you want to do it, but on every Sunday evening, I sit down and plan out my week. I look at what my schedule kind of looks like in terms of daily, weekly activities. I look at my priorities and I figure out what time blocks I need to allocate for my priorities. And I literally go through Monday through Friday and make a plan for each day of what I need to do. Now, sometimes it's not super detailed, it might not be really, really detailed, but it's like, okay, this 2-hour time frame is to work on coming up with all my Instagram posts for the week. This 3-hour time slot is to work on our content for the next quarter. This, so I plan it out so it's broad, it's not like really, really specific. So every week you want to make that weekly plan for yourself so that you have clarity and you're really on it and you're organized with how you're going to make the most of your time that week. I think it's so important to say at this point, we all need to create wiggle room for ourselves. Like, none of us are perfect. I am absolutely not perfect when it comes to productivity. It's one of the things I struggle with the most, which is why I have to work on it the most. And I think often I get to the point where I pull my schedule together and then I get bored of it and I'm like, oh, I don't want to do the schedule anymore. I just don't want to do it. I just want to kind of like be more creative and let inspiration strike. And you know what? It's totally fine to go through those phases and to change it up. I just think we're not robots. We have to do what works best for us. So for me, I know that I have periods of the year where I'm in more of a creative mode and I'm more like easygoing, and then there's other times when I've literally got to get so much done and I need to get really organized and disciplined with my time, and I have to get really structured with myself and my time. So I just think, give yourself permission for it to not be perfect, for this to not be something you have to be so rigid about all the time. Okay, some of us have personalities where that actually really works, but I think for a lot of us, we are creative and we reach a point where we're just like, enough of this, like I can't do this anymore, I need a bit of a break from it. And I just think that it's fine. I think it's also good to like book in time throughout the week so that it's not all completely jam-packed and that you have got room for unexpected things that pop up, room to be creative, room to just like do other stuff that isn't necessarily really planned in. So that's really, really important. Aside from sitting down and actually making a plan for the week, every single evening I make a plan for the next day, and that plan is really detailed. That plan is email this person, message this person about this, go and look at this document and review it, go and have this call at this time. So that's where I actually use my physical planner and I create that schedule for myself so I know what I'm doing at what time, and I've got my list of things that I actually really need to get done that day. So it's a lot more detailed. That really helps me to be super productive in a day, because I know specifically what I have to get done. So I do that the night before. So if you do this and you kind of work that plan based on where you're trying to get to, what the picture, what the vision is, you know what your priorities are, you know what your recurring tasks are, so that that's already factored in. It just makes life so much easier. It's not like every morning you're starting and you're just like, oh, what am I doing today? I don't really know. Or you're not even beginning at the beginning of the week to plan out the week thinking, oh, I don't even know where to begin, because you already do know where to begin, because you already have it categorized. You already know what your priorities are. You know what your big projects are that you're working on right now. And then everything else is fed through from that. So it makes it so much easier. So aside from that, there are some really great tools that I use that help me to become more productive. So I want to share some of those with you. One of them, which I find really helpful and really time-saving, is a little extension you can add into your browser. It's called Toby, and basically it's a page. So when you open a new tab on your computer, all of your pages, web pages that you need to access on a day-to-day basis are there for you. So for example, for me, I've got a link to the members club, I've got a link to my email inbox, I've got a link to my calendar. And then on Toby, you can actually organize and categorize. So this is everything that I ever need to access for the members club. This is anything I ever need to access on an operations basis. So that might be Asana, Google Drive, email, calendar. And I've just found it so helpful in saving me time, where I'm not like, oh, what's that link? I'm faffing around, wasting time trying to get links that, you know, I've got right there. So for me, that is really, really good. Another thing that I absolutely love, that I actually heard on a Tim Ferriss podcast, was that to speed up your mouse on your computer. So you actually can go into the settings on your computer and change the speed of your mouse. So mine is now set to go the fastest it can go. And at first when I changed it, I was like, oh my God, this is insane. Who can cope with a mouse that's going this fast? And now when I go to like a normal computer or someone else's, I'm like, what the hell is wrong with your mouse? Why is it so slow? And it's so annoying. So like, I know that's a kind of a silly one, but I swear, even that saves me so much time because my mouse goes faster. Another thing that is really amazing for staying organized for me is a Google Calendar. It's so handy. I mean, you have it on your phone. I've got it on my desktop. I think practically everyone uses Google Calendar, so when I'm doing meetings and calls with people, like all that's booked in and it's shared with them, and it's just really helpful for time blocking and changing the colours of stuff, and for me that's been really, really helpful. Another helpful tool is LastPass, which I use for passwords, and again it's just really useful in saving time because I'm not faffing around with like trying to figure out what my passwords are and I can't remember and I'm logged out and now I can't do this thing I really need to do because I can't get into it, and that used to be the story of my life before I used LastPass. So that is really, really helpful as well. So there you have it, some really amazing tools that you can use. I know that so many of you will use lots and lots of other different tools for productivity, saving time, all that kind of stuff. I would absolutely love you to leave a comment and let me know what your favorite productivity tools are that you use in your business to help you to get more out of your time. So I know I have covered a lot in this episode, and hopefully some of these things will help you so much to become so much more productive. If you want more help, I have a free printable that you can download, which is going to help you to really take back control of your day and your time. So definitely check that out. And also I'm going to link to 2 videos. One is all about how you can overcome procrastination, and another one is really focused on taking back control of your day. If you've enjoyed this video, then definitely make sure you subscribe and like, and definitely leave a comment, and I would love to get back to you and answer any questions that you have, and I will see you next time.